Better Than Well has changed my life and gave me the confidence to be able to overcome the problems I've faced in life, and also to better myself so that I could better the lives for my children.
That's really lovely to hear. Was there anything in particular that you found was most beneficial?
I found doing it over the phone, like as a phone call, was better for me because I was able to kind of hide behind the screen and when I was having anxiety attacks and stuff, and I didn't feel so nervous. And then the grounding techniques, the packing the bag and unpacking it, that is one that I still use to this day, 2 years later.
Wow, so you're still using the skills that you learned. That's really lovely to hear and to know. And was it the skills that made the difference? Was it getting that information, or was it understanding more about your trauma? Or?
It was being reassured that the trauma that I faced wasn't my fault, because for years I've carried that thinking that it was my fault. And then the tool, after I had the confidence to realise that it wasn't my fault and I was okay in accepting it, then the tools helped me to be able to carry on and move forward with life and not become stuck whenever something doesn't go the way that I had planned.
Would you say that the timing was important? If you had kind of found out about Better Than Well 5 years ago, would you have embraced it then, or did you feel it was when you were ready? Because you took the first steps, you reached out and contacted Better Than Well, didn't you?
Yeah, I took the first steps after a conversation with my health visitor after the birth of my daughter. I think you've got to be at a point where you're ready to change and ready to accept certain things that have happened. So it's got to be at the right time, you've got to want to change and want to become better. I don't think it works for everybody because they might feel like they want to, but I don't think they're in that right frame yet. For me, I had to have hit rock bottom to be able to change, because as 5 years ago, I probably wouldn't have accepted it because I've tried various other things and I wasn't in the headspace to be able to move forward.
Was it easier or harder than you thought it would be, Jax?
Easier. Making that first phone call and engaging in the help. And our first phone call was the hardest one because I didn't know what to expect, but it is a lot easier than what I had planned.
Yeah, if there was somebody thinking about maybe getting in touch with Better Than Well, what would you say to them?
Go for it. If you're in the right frame of mind to want to change and want to reach your full potential, go for it. Better Than Well changed my life. And I will rant and rave about this for the rest of my life. And you could change so much by just learning simple little things that can ground you without feeling the need to scream and shout.
And somebody might say, well, that's okay for you, but maybe things weren't so bad for you. Maybe things are really bad for me and I can't do. Could you give people just a little bit of a snapshot of where you were then and where you feel you are now, so people realize the kind of how it's gone for you?
I've had back-to-back trauma since the age of 4. And 2 years ago was my turning point where I hit rock bottom. I couldn't take my kids to school. I couldn't leave the house without my sister basically holding my hand. I had panic attacks in certain shops if it was too busy. I struggled to do the basic things. Like, I was functioning, being able to get up and feed my kids, but I was also crying into my washing pile whenever they were eating their dinner, or whenever I had 5 minutes where I thought they weren't looking, I was completely broken. And I realised that the kids were picking up on that. The kids realised I was sad, even though I tried not to show them it. I wanted to give the kids the best because that's what everybody wants to give.
But also that's what you deserve. So I'm really pleased that you're courageous enough to make that call, because you have turned things around for you so much, and it's wonderful to see how you embrace. Because I remember from our first call, you were so enthusiastic and you were determined that you were going to do this. And even though you had your little list at home, and sometimes she was, distracting when you were trying to do the calls, and sometimes you had to do the homework in between school routines, you really committed and you really put the time in, and it's just wonderful to see how it's benefited you. So well done.